all that being said, we're going to jump right into social media for turbulent times. When I talk about social media, I base my social media strategies for my clients on something I call my 3 C's of social media. And there's a video on my YouTube channel. I actually, that's a picture of me from the video that I recorded 8 years ago, and it still holds true. This is the framework for social media, and it's a framework we're going to go through today. So the first C, and the most important, is customer. Who is your customer and where are they online? The next C is content. So what kind of things do you have to say and share? The third really important C is capabilities. What can you do? And I already mentioned I speak to a lot of different organizations and people and businesses about marketing. Sometimes I talk to people and they're not doing any social media and they want to do YouTube and TikTok and Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, and you can't do everything, especially if you're not doing anything now. So you've really got to make sure that you fit whatever you decide to do in this framework of customer, content, and capabilities, and focus on the one that makes the most sense for your business until you can do it well. Over time, teaching my 3 C's and using it for clients, a 4th C emerged, which is credibility. And credibility is really important because prospects may not find you on social, but they will definitely look at your profile. So you want to make sure that you don't have inaccurate information. You don't have a link to your Twitter profile on your website, and you don't have the password, and you haven't tweeted in 4 or 5 years. So you want to make sure that that credibility is definitely something that you think about when looking at your profiles. So I actually go really in depth into all of those in a free webinar that I do a couple times a year, and my next ones are the first week of June. There's information on my website. So the immediate actions when we're talking about social media in turbulent times, and keep in mind when I create presentations, it's not just for what's going on right now. This is content no matter what happens. An example I often have used for just my social media and scheduling in general is I talk about the Boston marathon bombing, because Constant Contact is headquartered in Boston. And the very first thing that they did when the bombing happened was they went online and they paused everything. All emails going out, all social media posts. So that's really important. And this is something that hopefully you did, and most people probably did in mid-March, when the situation began to happen. So you've probably already done that. I think it's time to start moving back into it, but just make sure that I cover that when something happens, it's important to pause and take a breath, okay? And see what happens. Some things just take a little bit of time to sort of see what's going on. Now, obviously, we are currently in a situation that's never happened before, but in general, as we go forward just with life, other crises will happen, whether it's regional, whether it's just in your business. So this is really important that you pause, take a breath. I actually had a client, I encouraged her, she temporarily closed for a month. I go, let's just stop and regroup and see what it looks like, instead of running like crazy to try to figure out what to do. So that's an important thing you want to do. Now, this is obviously an unprecedented time. The number one thing I don't want you to do is use that phrase. Please don't use that phrase, unprecedented time. Everybody's using it. The current situation we're in is different, so I've added some slides to address that. Social media usage is actually way up. We're all working from home. People are on devices all day long. So I just have, some stats from you. Internet usage has increased. Video streaming consumption is up 38% compared to TV only going up 7%. So Properties like Disney Plus are adapting to that, right? They're releasing content earlier. You've seen, we're going to talk about how some businesses have adjusted. You've seen movie theaters. Oh, I have a waiting room. I was worried. Hold on. I was worried that I wouldn't be able to let people in. Okay. Um, but it told me, so that's exciting. Movies releasing right under a different business model. Now you can, a movie that was come out in the theater, now you can rent it at home for 20 bucks or whatever. So things have definitely are changing, but for your business, for your organization, it's important for you to know social media use is up. Um, and mobile traffic is up, and cost per click, we mentioned that I do a lot of paid traffic. Cost per click is actually really down at this point. So if you are looking into dipping your toe into paid advertising, now might be a really good time. Again, it's always dependent on your business and your industry, and we're going to talk about that. So the first C, remember, was customer. So where are they? You really need to meet your audience where they are. What is your customer doing? How is this affecting them? And what is important to them? So Buffer, which is a social media scheduling tool, really early in the situation, they posted this tweet, right, that they'd been fully remote. Their entire office has been remote for 9 years. They have teammates in 19 countries, and they just opened it up for questions if anyone had questions on how they do it. And they actually had a remote work guide on their website that they went ahead and updated with newer information. So it's important to know who your customer is and where they are. And is it possible for you in this current situation to provide relief? Here's an example of Loom. You've seen a number of examples of different platforms that have increased their limits, their times, things like that. I called all of my vendors for me and all my clients. And in one day, I saved one client over $1,000. Almost all of my vendors paused charges for 2 months, but continued to provide service, which I think is great, right? So if you can provide relief, that's something you want to look at. Again, depending on your business, depending on your customer. And you want to focus on empathy, not selling. I've shared a few videos in my social media that are like generic. They're done to be funny, but there's a lot of ads right now that I see on TV and social media. I can't even tell you, they're all the same. They're pictures of empty streets. There's instrumental music in the background and unprecedented times. And similar verbiage. So the more you can connect directly to your customer, knowing who that customer is, knowing what your customer avatar is, the more you'll stand out. But again, we're not going to focus on selling. I think now that we're a couple months into it, we can start looking to coming out of this and start thinking about selling. But again, that's going to really depend on your customer. So some of the social platforms actually stepped up. Similar to, I mentioned that Disney Plus and some other platforms release content early. Some of the social media platforms created some features that I thought would be interesting to share with you. So Facebook released Messenger Rooms, which is to compete with Zoom, theoretically. However, they say you can have up to 50 people, and actually right now you can only have up to 8. So it's not quite competing with Zoom yet. Just today, Mark Zuckerberg did a live this morning that announced shops. So they're competing with, they're allowing businesses to sell through Instagram and Facebook, and trying to compete with Amazon. So it's great. I know we're a couple months in. We have to remember how much development has to happen for for them to release new features like this. But I think that that's a great thing that they've done for businesses. And then Instagram released a few features. You can watch Instagram IGTV with your friends. You can order food online. You can order gift cards. Facebook also added a gift card feature within the last week. So on Instagram, you'll see they're under in the Instagram stories, the order food online gift cards. So one of my clients is a restaurant, and we actually added the gift cards, not only using it in posts and stories, but we added it right. They added the ability to add it right to your profile. So anyone who goes to Calypso's Instagram profile will see gift cards. You click on that, it'll go right to the site to buy gift cards. So I think it's great that the social platform stepped up to meet the current situation. So look for more features and see how you can use them and what makes sense for your business. The other thing you have to think about is, did your business have to change as a result of the turbulent time that we're talking about? There's definitely been a shift to e-commerce. A lot of different businesses who weren't online. There's been a lot of offerings in the website space. I've seen an ad for GoDaddy to give you a website for free. So there's definitely a lot of opportunity there, depending on what your business is. Events have moved online. Here we are. Normally we'd be meeting in Ashburn, right? And there would be snacks and wine after, which is always my favorite part of the networking event. But we've moved events online. If you're going to move events online, it's important to create appointment viewing habits. So regularity, and an excellent example of that, and I'm so glad, I hope John's still on the webinar, is the Dulles Chamber. Since this started, John Boylan actually started leading a 4 p.m. Zoom every day, and you'll see the topics right there on the right for chamber members, but he's also been open to non-chamber members based on these different topics to keep everybody in loop. We've had some great conversations, some great content, and I hope as things open up that we continue to do some stuff online. Some other examples of businesses that have changed restaurants. We know now they're doing takeout and delivery. I've seen restaurants do at-home kits. A friend of mine owns a paint and sip place, and she's been doing virtual painting. So you can buy the kit with written instructions, or you can choose to do it as a group in an online platform. And of course, Virginia ABC changed the cocktail laws. So I'd be interested as we open this up for discussion in what things you've done for your business as things have had to change. I can't see the questions right now the way that this is on my screen. So the other key thing, remember, we're talking customer content. What are you going to talk about, and capabilities? What can you do? Is you want to communicate clearly. This, I don't think, is the time to be overly clever. You just want to be very clear. So you want to update, obviously, what's going on. You want to put in reminders. You want to include hours. I think now I'm not a huge believer in posting a lot to social media. I'm certainly not a huge believer in posting every day, but I think now you could get away with posting a little more, especially if you have information to share. A good example of that is Jimmy's Old Town Tavern in Herndon. They're posting every day, their specials. And so everyone, you're reminded, oh, I can order from Jimmy's, I can get takeout, I can get delivery, right? And the other way is tell people how they can support you. People want to support you. Your customers, your fans, you've got to find a way to let them support you. And this is a great time, if you're going to be posting more, it's a great time to test that frequency, that timing, how often you're posting, what time you're posting, so that gives you the opportunity to do that on your social media at a time when you know that more people are on social media. And so you could take that opportunity to post a little bit more. Okay. I was so afraid I was going to go over. So I've got some next steps. We'll open up for questions. So basically, you want to start by the 4C, which is credibility. Evaluate your current social media presence. You want to make sure that it's consistent, that your profile image, your cover photo, your actual information, that it's all consistent and accurate. And if you are a location-based business, you want to make sure that you also include Google My Business in that review, to make sure that and in your posting schedule, to make sure that you're getting the advantage of Google. So that's the first thing you want to do, right? Then you want to make sure you define your audience. You should already know who your audience is, what your customer avatar is. But if not, define it. So that's going to help you decide what platforms you should be on and what types of content to try. Then you just pull together content. We've talked about some examples. I'm a writer, English major. I could talk about content for hours. So if you need ideas, we can talk about that in the questions. And then keep in mind capabilities. What can you realistically do? If you or your business has not been posting on social media, or has hardly been posting on social media, and you have Facebook, this is not the time to start, as I've said, adding in, oh, let's do YouTube, let's do TikTok, let's do Instagram. Let's do Facebook well. Let's get that audience engaged. Don't forget your email marketing. I'm a huge proponent of it. And you can build from there, but don't set yourself up where you're going to post a ton now, and then when you get back to a more normal work day, you don't have time. So now's a great time to put in motion editorial calendars and planning and scheduling.